So continuing on with the interview process. Everybody loves a good interview. Okay, most people hate interviewing. Now, how to interview? Or actually, how are we going to prepare to interview? Well, the first thing that we are going to do is to prepare our focused message. Remember, we're going to solve their problems. We're going to put ourselves in their shoes and talk to their perspective. We are going to practice so that even if we're not fantastic interviewers, we're not going to be terrible, like I used to be and perhaps still am to some extent, but a lot of practice really helps improve your interview skills. We are going to focus on checking all of the boxes and doing what we need to. We are going to know how to execute on STAR for behavioral questions, and we are going to leave doors open. This is figurative, not literal. Let's not leave all the doors open, but figuratively, let's leave these doors open. Okay, let's dive in. Now, as far as preparing our focus message, we've already discussed this before. Put ourselves in the hiring manager's shoes. This is make the argument and communicate how you can help them. Find their pain points, and you are the solution. Your resume should have this message. Your interview should have this message. Your informal conversations should have this message. Everything. This is what your message is going to be. All of your energy and passion is going to be embedded in that message. This is not about how much you want or need this job. This is about how you are going to solve their problems. All right, now we're going to practice. Practice, because interview is a learned skill. Through deliberate practice, you can get very, very good. Very few people are putting in hours of interview practice, so you are going to set yourself apart from the competition. In order to do that, you actually need to get feedback. You need to practice with someone, get feedback, make changes, and improve. In order to do that, you need to find multiple interview coaches. And not just anybody, not just someone who says, oh yeah, I think you're fine, but someone who's actually going to be critical. And maybe sometimes the criticisms are going to be valid. And other times you're going to say, I don't really think that criticism's all that valid for my situation. That's fine. But what you'll need to do in this process is to custom tailor your interview practice to focus that message to the needs of the interviewer. Not only are you practicing, you're practicing with a specific company in mind. And so I was awful at interviewing. I practice a lot, and I now think I am mediocre. And mediocre is a lot better than being awful. And so you may be unsure of your abilities, but basically, very, very, very few people are good at interviews naturally. Most people are just mediocre or bad. With practice, you can get a lot better. Third step with the interview process, we want to make sure to check all the boxes. So, what does that mean? It means we dress appropriately, show up reasonably early, and remember to smile. It's a customer services fundamental. It's an acronym. S, smile. M, make eye contact. I, introduce yourself. L, learn their name. And E, express thanks or a pleasure to meet them. Now, you might think that this is obvious, but it requires practice. So, practice, deliberate practice. Try this, make sure you're doing it, do it over and over, you'll do fine. Finally, make sure to scrub and privatize your social media. I don't know how many stories I've heard of others that have potentially lost potential job offers because of negative things they've said about previous employers or about how they felt about or their skill level within a job because of what has been on social media. So a bad tweet or Facebook message or something like that could potentially cost you a job. So make sure to scrub and privatize your social media accounts. Next, as far as your interview goes, know how to execute on STAR. It's another acronym. I've included some additional information, some more detailed information in the links below. But what is STAR? STAR is a way that you share a story in a way that flows, is logical, and it makes sense, and it demonstrates a certain attribute. And so STAR, S-T-A-R, stands for situation, task, action, result. So a simple story. You set up the situation, what's going on. Task, you discuss what your objective is, what you're trying to accomplish. Action, what action did you take? And R, what was the end result of that action? You achieved that task. And so you would do this to demonstrate in different parts of your life, different chunks of your life, that you would create that you would demonstrate these different attributes. And we're going to walk through an example next. And here's our example. Let's say you break up your life into, say, university, an internship you once had, and then an assistant manager position that you held. And for this specific position, you want to demonstrate certain skills. You want to demonstrate your teamwork skills, your productivity, and how hard you work. You want to demonstrate your creativity. And so what you would do for each one of these chunks of life and for each one of these attributes, you could think through different stories, different things on your resume that would fulfill each one of the steps of STAR. You could set up a situation, discuss the task, demonstrate the actions that you specifically took, not your group, but you individually, and the result that you were able to achieve. This is part of your project as well. You will need to create these stories, and as far as the project goes, you'll need to create 9 stories, just like as you see in this box, in these 9 boxes. Finally, last step is to leave the door open. Because when rejection comes, and it will, I recommend leaving the door open for future opportunities or referrals. Frequently, you are a very, very good candidate, but there's, say, another candidate that has this one very specific skill that they're looking for. So even if they really, really like you, you're just not the ideal fit for this position. Now, that's okay. They really, really like you still. And so you want to leave that door open for future opportunities or referrals. So saying things like, thanks for your time. Like, I'd really appreciate it if you kept me in mind. If you see another position that could also be a good fit, you're very interested in, say, the company. Doing something like this, it costs you nothing, and it shows initiative. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? They don't hire you. They've already decided they're not going to hire you. I mean, other bad things could potentially happen, but those bad things aren't going to happen because you left the door open. So it costs you nothing. It can only benefit you. Make sure to take advantage of leaving the door open. Finally, if you find yourself frustrated with your interview experience, do what I did. Take a moment and watch the iconic Monty Python job interview sketch. I've included a link for it below. It's something that really helped me in my more frustrated moments in interview processes.